By the stability of the Central Committee, of which I spoke before, I mean measures to prevent a split so far as such measures can be taken. For, of course, the White Guard and Ruskaya Maistil, I think it was southeast Oldenburg, was right then in the first place. In his play against Soviet Russia, he banked on the hope of a split in our party, and when, in the second place, he banked for that split on serious disagreements in our party. Our party rests upon two classes, and for that reason its instability is possible, and if there cannot exist an agreement between those classes, its fall is inevitable. In such an event, it would be useless to take any measures or in general to discuss the stability of our Central Committee. In such an event, no measure would prove capable of preventing a split, but I trust that there is too remote a future and too improbable an event to talk about. I have in mind stability as a guarantee against a split in the near future, and I intend to examine here a series of considerations of a purely personal character. I think that the fundamental factor in the matter of stability from this point of view is such members of the Central Committee as Stalin and Trotsky. The relation between them constitutes, in my opinion, a big half of the danger of that split which might be avoided and the avoidance of which might be promoted, in my opinion, by raising the number of members of the Central Committee to 50 or 100. Comrade Stalin, having become General Secretary, has concentrated an enormous power in his hands, and I'm not sure that he always knows how to use that power without sufficient caution. On the other hand, Comrade Trotsky, as was proved by his struggle against the Central Committee in connection with the question of the People's Commissariat of Ways and Communications, is distinguished not only by his exceptional abilities. Personally, he is, to be sure, the most able man in the present Central Committee, but also by his too far-reaching self-confidence and a disposition to be too much attracted by the purely administrative side of affairs. These two qualities of the two most able leaders of the present Central Committee might, quite innocently, lead to a split. If our party does not take measures to prevent it, a split might arise unexpectedly. I will not further characterize the other members of the Central Committee as to their personal qualities. I will only remind you that the October episode of Zinoviev and Kamenev was not, of course, accidental, but that it ought as little to be used against them personally as the non-Bolshevism of Trotsky. Of the younger members of the Central Committee, I want to say a few words about Bukharin and Pryastakov. They are, in my opinion, the most able forces among the youngest, and in regard to them it is necessary to bear in mind the following. Bukharin is not only the most valuable and biggest theoretician of the party, but also may legitimately be considered the favorite of the whole party. But his theoretical views can only, with the very greatest doubt, be regarded as fully Marxist. For there is something scholastic in him. He never has learned, and I think never has fully understood, the dialectic. And then Pryastakov, a man undoubtedly distinguished in will and ability, but too much given over to administration and the administrative side of things to be relied on in a serious political question. Of course, both these remarks are made by me merely with a view to the present time, or supposing that these two able and loyal workers may not find an occasion to supplement their knowledge and correct their one-sidedness. December 25, 1922, postscript. Stalin is too rude, and this fault, entirely supportable in relations among us communists, becomes insupportable in the office of the General Secretary. Therefore, I propose to the comrades to find a way to remove Stalin from that position and appoint it to another man who, in all respects, differs from Stalin only in superiority, namely, more patient, more loyal, more polite, and more attentive to comrades, less capricious, etc. This circumstance may seem an insignificant trifle, but I think that from the point of view of preventing a split and from the point of view of the relation between Stalin and Trotsky, which I discussed above, it is not a trifle. Or is it such a trifle as may acquire a decisive significance? Lenin, January 4, 1923.